Oh, see, told you it wasn't fine.
It was fine.
It's not fine.
It's fine.
I hate it in here. Proper studio or I quit.
You can quit if you want, but you don't have anything better to do.
Gonna quit.
Yeah.
Hello there, I'm Tim and he's John, and this is How to Murder Time, a podcast about games and things.
Hello, everybody.
Watcher.
Another week.
It's another
more
week.
Games, more things.
Things. You got some things.
No, I just went places.
Games and things, I suppose.
No, I did stuff.
All right, cool. I'm going to talk about Stellaris.
Are you?
I finally got around to it. I played it and dabbled with it a bit and got it a while back in some Steam sale, or I don't know when I got it. Had it a while, but I've really just suddenly gone for it this time. I've been playing it more or less solidly in my spare time this last week. It's fantastic. So it's your sort of classical Master of Orion style Space Empire expansion management, large scale sweeping canvas, and it is really good. It's really sort of the look and feel of it all is really top notch. The sort of aesthetics of it all, and it really captures my imagination because I love that kind of large scale science fiction, space opera, empires into the future type thing. Huge fan of Asimov's Foundation series, and there's that kind of feel. There's a bit touch of Star Maker there. I mean, it really is the sort of largest scale scope you get for the empire management game that's out there, I think. And I'm really enjoying it. It's quite tricky. It's quite hard work. Yes, so I sort of fired it all up and immediately picked, we'll go human. And it's you get two options as human, which is interesting. There's lots and lots of races. I think it might procedurally generate the creatures from some weird art scraps and stuff. So it looks quite interesting. But yes, I thought, all right, we'll go with humans. I've got some experience with those. And yeah, you've got two options there. So I went with the blue ones. There's blue humans and red humans. So you got the United Nations of Earth with the big blue banner and the sort of United Nations logo and symbol and everything, and they've got all sorts of humans are great and charismatic and we love aliens and it's all great and groovy and Federation and so on, lots of those sorts of traits. And I thought, this is it. This is the utopian future I've been dreaming of and I'm probably never going to see in my own lifetime. So you sort of settle down. You start off with science ships, construction ships, and the usual naval fleets. Various star bases and planets. Each star system has multiple planets within it, which is a nice level of detail. And of course, each planet is some of them are habitable, some of them aren't, and some of them have different habitable ranges. That depends on your species. So that leads into all the terraforming stuff. You start on Earth, which apparently is where the humans come from. And you've got the surface area of each planet where you can build the different structures as well. And it's very much that sort of resource management game. It's the ratios, it's the production, the amount of food, the amount of minerals, the amount of energy credits, which are your cash. And trying to keep that all balanced, basically trying to be as productive as possible while still being able to pay for it all. Yeah. And that's usually my big problem. That is the sort of the core. Like real life. It's the core game loop in these sorts of games. And I almost invariably just go mad with the expansion at the start and then realise I can't afford any of it and have to start dismantling it again. That happened again. Yes, of course, while I was mucking about with that, you have a big the galaxy map's fantastic. It is this great big zoomed out thing with very futuristic looking fonts on it and big coloured areas of different empires with their symbols on it. It's a very good looking game. I started to expand, and then I got confused, I think, with habitable worlds, and you can build these things called frontier. So obviously your worlds generate influence out on the map as a sort of coloured area, but you can build space stations, frontier outposts, which sort of also extend your area of reach as well, because I was having real trouble trying to work out how to get my next colony, and it turns out you have to do a bit of work with, various technologies and do lots of scouting. Yeah, so I thought, I can expand my empire with these frontier outposts, but they carry a really quite hefty sort of resource penalty to stop you going mad with them. Yeah.
What if you put one down, put down the other colony, and then destroy that one? Yeah,
but I wasn't. I think I got a bit unlucky with the scouting initially, because you use your science vessels to survey all these other star systems, and you can't really settle there until you've found the planets in them, obviously. And also that tells you what sorts of resources these systems have got. You can build mining outposts to sort of capitalise on the local resources, even without a planet in there. But, I think something went wrong because I ended up... Earth turned out to end up right pressed against the border of the neighbouring empire, who didn't like me much. They got a jump on the couple of borderline habitable planets in between me and them while I was off elsewhere. So that led to... And they weren't really responding to diplomacy. I'm very much a fan of why can't we all get along, and we can't get along, it turns out. The diplomacy is quite developed and involved in Stellaris. It's a lot more intricate than just, declare war, trade pact, non-aggression treaty, that sort of thing. You've got all sorts of different other options in there. Things like declare rivalry.
Oh.
Which is an interesting concept. What that does is that basically it's a very sort of modern propaganda type concept, in that you just declare these aliens as rivals to your own people. And so basically it really dents your relations with them, because you're basically making them out to be the big propaganda enemy, but really boosts your own internal influence generation amongst your own people. You're basically making them out to be the boogeyman to help sort of keep your own empire together. There's very sort of minor things like insult, which will just, lower the trick them into, sort of goad them into sort of more rash actions and so on. Well, they got an interesting thing with sort of vassals and underdeveloped primitive civilizations. The whole sort of prime directive thing.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, prime directive, schmective. What you do is you set up observation posts around these primitive worlds, and then you can study them passively and keep in the good Starfleet tradition and gain a few research points from society research.
Sounds
that
good
sort of thing.
so
Yeah. Well, you can go quite. You can aggressively hegemonize them. Just go in and start, showing off as big magical space overlords, and basically develop them up as a vassal dependent species.
I like it. Let's do that.
Yes, or you could just bomb them into the Stone Age as well, even if they're already in the Stone Age.
The problem with that is it removes their precious resources.
Well, yeah, but you can do it in a sort of beneficent prime directive tinkering as well. You can basically accelerate their growth by sort of developing up their technology to the Steam Age and then Space Age, sort of forcing them really quickly into sort of...
Have you considered boiling the water?
Well, exactly, yeah. Try.
Have you considered putting the steam engine which you have on the rails which you have, and I'm aiming that at the Greeks?
They had steam technology and railways. Well, anyway, so you can grow them up as sort of vassal states, and eventually, if you're sort of a friendly type of overlord, you can grant them their own independence. They become a whole new empire, and off they go. And so there's lots of ways to sort of get along with your neighbours, and I was trying that, but I think what happened was that I got involved in a mutual defence arrangement that I probably shouldn't have done, and then the other lot declared war on people and asked me to help, and then I tooled up, and as soon as I tooled up and started building battleship, destroyers and things, the quite frosty neighbour who was right against my homeworld just declared war on me and stomped my homeworld, and they all came in and it started bombing, and I thought, oh no, I've lost Earth. It's like, boom, 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 boom.
How embarrassing.
Yes, I thought I could keep going here, but I think I'll just stop playing there.
So you left them all?
I did.
You abandoned them?
I resigned as world leader and then just sort of hid somewhere. Yes. So, yeah, that didn't go well. So I started a new game, which I'm playing at the moment. This time I've gone with the Red Human Empire. This is the Commonwealth of Man, who come with a huge raft
like the Brotherhood of Man, and have I done that joke before? I have.
Almost certainly, perhaps a couple of times.
Yeah.
But they come with the red colour scheme. They got a sort of winged eagle as their logo. They all wear these like quite grey uniforms. Very. They are basically the Empire. They come with a whole raft of xenophobia traits that you can leverage to make your empire powerful at the cost of diplomacy. And I decided to explore all the war stuff. The wars are interesting. So instead of just, we're at war, off we go, and you just keep fighting until you're bored or you win or you lose, you've got these concept of when you declare war or when war's declared against you, you have this whole concept of a war score.
Okay.
Which basically means
Are you good at war?
No, well, exactly. How can it know? This is how you tell it. So you can basically declare a whole set of objectives is what you want out of this war, what you're going to try and do. So, yeah, you pick a load of planets, or you can just go for a humiliation, or whatever. You pick a load of different things that are relevant to the game and say, this is what I'm trying to do. And
is one of the things that you can pick, make me look strong at home?
Yes, yeah, I think one of them does have essentially that effect. I think that's what the insult the enemy option is. It basically makes me look strong at home, yeah. It gives you influence points, which power or you're hiring leaders or expanding colonies and that sort of thing. But yes, because that then allows... So that's a double-edged sword, I think, because on the one hand, okay, I've declared I'm going to do all these things, so the enemy knows pretty much where your fleets are aiming at.
Yep.
But on the other hand, that gives the game's AI some really concrete sort of trigger points to decide if it wants to surrender or how well is it doing. Because then once you've declared this war score, you go, you fight, you start working towards it. And there's a little sort of symbol in the corner which is measuring how well you're doing against your declared objectives.
What if you massively overachieve?
They have objectives on their side as well. Both sides declare some objectives no matter who starts the war. And the more objectives you've completed and the less they've completed, the more heft you've got on the negotiation tab.
Okay.
Which basically means that it's a much more nuanced thing than I have killed all your planets, are you going to surrender yet? I mean, often the idea of the AI opponents surrendering in one of these games in the past has been quite a random thing with perhaps some weighting factors based on some sort of psychological, this leader is pacifist, this leader is a warmonger. Whereas this, you've got some actual concrete stats to show who's doing well by their own criteria and who's not doing well, and then you can bring that to the negotiation tab and demand they surrender, and if you're doing much better than they are, then they're more likely to do so. It's quite a clever idea. It really grants a sort of nuance to the overall interplanetary conflict you usually see in this sort of game. I quite like it. I haven't really done any wars much yet. I had the one where they declared on me, and then immediately their first move was to drop the Doom stack on Earth. Okay. So I gave up. Yeah, that's an abandoned game. I might try again as the happy, clappy, we like everyone type human faction again and see if it can be made to work. But a lot of it depends on how close you are to other empires and whether they're fanatical xenophobes or whether they like getting along with people as well. So there's a certain randomness to it. But so I'm currently playing the red space empire. We hate all the aliens, we're going to conquer the universe type faction, and that's quite hard work because I suddenly find myself, and I don't know if this is in response to how I'm playing or whether it's just because the game is quite hard or I'm unlucky, but I find myself looking on the diplomacy tab, a big old list of encountered alien races, and there's a relative strengths column, and I'm the weakest thing in the whole galaxy. So basically I'm this really sort of shouty, angry, fighty empire that's much weaker than everyone else in the galaxy, who are all quite peaceful and are forming a federation and stuff,
Are they by any chance forming a federation? Because there's this really annoying.
No. A lot of these other empires are much more powerful than me, but are pacifistic, spiritualistic explorer types. According to the psychological breakdown. So I've got almost nothing to fear from them, but they've got nothing to fear from me for quite a long time. So I find myself getting into this sort of infrastructural development type cycle where I'm trying to build up because I haven't. You've got the number of ships you're allowed and the total number of ships you can have counter, and I've nowhere near filled my capacity. So I'm basically slowly building a really massive fleet and hoping that doesn't trigger them into attacking me before I'm ready. I want to conquer someone.
You do know that their freighters outpower you.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting because you've got different types of stellar empire as well. There's the ones that are essentially mirrored versions of the player. There's small upcoming expansionist types, but it also spawns in some really powerful but decadent and uninterested empires as well. So as soon as you meet them, they're massively, overwhelmingly more powerful than you, but they're quite unlikely to actually do anything about it. So there's different sort of tone to the races you encounter. You encounter, like I say, these primitive civilizations you can grow up. Some of them have only just arrived up, so sometimes you'll come across one system empires that are really, really weak, and I haven't come across any of those within my reach yet, which is a shame. But so you've got the sort of basic, it's real time, which is interesting. It's not click button for next turn. There's basically a pause and play button, and things tick along at a sort of fair old rate. I think it's like 1 day a second or something, and it steps through the years and months like that. Research is interesting. That's not the usual open up the window and there's the huge tech tree, and there is the technological victory button at the very end of it. What you've got is you've essentially got 3 types of research. There's physics, engineering, and society, and you appoint 3 different scientists to lead those departments. And then each time one of those departments completes a tech, it opens up a little window with a choice of different techs, different costs, and so on. And I can't see anywhere where there is a big chart that shows what leads to what leads to what. It seems to be more that the technologies are being randomly handed out as a kind of loot type mechanic. It's weird. It's because you've got the normal sorts of text and they'll come in at different costs, but every so often one of the available choices for a particular branch will have a purple name. I thought, raid loot. Hang on, what? Raid loot as a civilizational advance as a concept there. But so that, I don't know. And also there does not seem to be the standard transcend into beings of pure energy technology victory there. The victory conditions, you've got domination, conquest, and federation, essentially. So you obviously exterminate everyone else, you win. If you have more than X% of all the colonizable worlds in the galaxy, you win that victory. Or if you are in a federation with this many other empires, then you win. But there's no research that bejesus out of everything and become super beings type victory, which is a shame because that's usually my favourite. Usually I sort of adopt a policy of just hold everyone in a kind of status quo while I get on with the science, and then eventually I'm off. You can have this galaxy, I'm out of here. But that doesn't seem to be an option, so it does sort of force you to interact and react with the other empires in some fashion or another to get any kind of victory out of it. But it's a very long running game, quite slow paced, but very, very detailed as it goes, and I love it. I like the science as well. You've got science ships which go out and explore. They're the ones that are essentially surveying, so they're finding out what's in each system and so on, which is important generally as well. But often they'll find anomalies, the usual sort of, we found a weird thing, we're going to do some science on it. And those are quite interesting. Some of them are quite, just one-off. Oh, we found an ancient alien freighter wreck in a planet. It's given us this much research points towards whatever. Some of them seem to sort of chain on little mini stories, and some of them, I think, are tailored to the particular races as well. So the Commonwealth of Man, the Red Human Empire, their little mini backstory comes in forms of little text blocks as you sort of play through. And it was a colonising wormhole ship that disappeared from Earth and turned up somewhere halfway across the galaxy. And they've basically formed their own empire based on wormhole technology and so on. But sort of very early on during the research, you're starting to find clues about the other colony ships that were sent at the same time. And I think there's a mission where you had to go out and find and recover 5 probes that had been sent out during a much more naive age, full of your postal details and biological data. A bit like Voyager 1 and 2. We're going to have to go and get those at some point in the future. I think there could be a problem otherwise. Big gold disc with "We are here, and here are our biological weaknesses. You can conquer us using this and this sorts of music." I think we're going to have to go out and get them. I think this is just just asking for trouble. But so and they sort of form a series of. Sometimes they'll form a series of chained missions as well. Like there'll be particular vanished precursor races, and you'll find hints of them, and then you'll be given more missions to go off and try and find the other 6 or 7 relics that belong with that empire, and then that will then send you to their homeworld, and you can do more research there. So you get. I don't know if it's narrative in a real typical video game storytelling sense, but there is a sort of there has been an attention to lore and detail and background that does create a convincing feel that this is not just a randomly generated star map and off you go and conquer it. You get the sense that there's a kind of a galaxy there's a history and so on, even if those little fragments have got cut and paste names in there each time. The names change, but the missions look the same. There's enough intricacy going on. See, the thing with one of these games is it's all about keeping player busy. You got to have lots to do, especially if it's this one in particular is a real time one. So you push play and then you'll sit there, and if you have to sit there and wait for 25 minutes for anything interesting to happen, that's not much of a game. You can, but no, you're directing the ships around. You've got lots of little pop-up notifications of things happening. You're managing colonies and so on. It does an interesting thing with sectors as well. You start the game only being able to control 3 planets, but you can substitute a planet for a sector, and a sector is basically you use the interface to declare a group of planets as a sector, group of the planets you own. That then gets one governor and has a kind of semi-automated AI internal management.
So it scales up.
Yes, exactly. So that whole sector will then theoretically take care of itself, but you can still manually intervene on a planet-by-planet basis if you like. But that then, because looking at the size of I'm playing on a normal-sized galaxy map, and there must be about 200 or 300 stars on it, and you can go to enormous sizes on the game setup, and having to micromanage each one of those individually you really start to bog down, and that's sort of the problem with this kind of master design gameplay is for turn 1 you'll set your science going, and then you sit there and I'll go and get a cup of tea whilst 250 years pass whilst things happen. But in the later stages of that game, you can't press the next turn button. You press the next turn button, and that will present you with about 30 minutes worth of admin tasks to do before you can press it again. So the sort of time advancement really, really slows down the more things are happening. But with this whole sector system, I think that takes the edge off, because they start to become sort of autonomous management. It's that the number of sectors you can manage still goes up over time anyway, but eventually you're going to be in a position where you've got like 200 or 300 colonies, and trying to keep track of all that while still essentially enacting some kind of long-term over plan gets quite complicated. So there's a lot of nice features in this game. I like it a lot. I'm a bit dubious about their business model, though. There's a ton of DLC for this thing. You can quite easily...
Yeah.
I got the base edition because I don't know the game at all, so I didn't get any of the... I didn't know if there was a Game of the Year version or whatever, but even that's not... I think there's a new one out at the moment, Synthetic Dawn, which I think adds a whole load of robot empires and robot
That sounds
stuff.
surprising.
Yeah, well, there was one not so long ago that added a whole ton of mega structure stuff, Dyson spheres and things, you know. I mean, it looks like they're just going to keep cranking stuff out for this thing, and they go for about $10 a go, and if you really love the game, then yeah, by all means, why not get all the stuff? And I think I might start getting a few, but yeah, you could probably quite happily spend 100 plus quid to get all the bits of this one at a time. It's that weird expansion sort of creep going on there. But then it is such a captivating, intriguing game. I wonder how much of my fascination with this game is me, because I'm such a sucker for grand sweeping space opera, and my imagination will just go off on one, and this really does trigger all of that. When ultimately you look at it from a nuts and bolts mechanics view, and it is just stars and spaceships moving around and throwing dice against each other. But it's done in such a stylish way. The visuals are fantastic. There's a lot of concept art and very good sort of artwork of nebulas and star bases and stuff all going on in the background. There's the music's fantastic, and you just get this real clean, crisp sense of a future empire and destiny, and the species in amongst the stars and stuff. And it just sets me off. I love it. But yeah, how much as an actual game, how interesting is it? I'm finding myself interested. Yeah, lots of interesting, intricate ins and outs to explore, certainly. And replayability, I'm not sure I'm any good at it. Because I've only had 2 proper goes at it, and it takes a long time for your mistakes to become apparent. It's that kind of very long span game. I mean, I find myself just unable to pull ahead and pull away over these other computer empires. It's all on normal. I'm gone default difficulty settings. And I'm wondering, ultimately, when you get past the grand space opera fluff and the look and the feel and everything, it is a series of algorithms which are ruthlessly optimised to maximise these stats and these numbers. Yeah. And that's the problem with a lot of these large empire builder games, is the computer opponent is just very, very good at that basic game, which is use your buildings and spaceships and outposts and mines to make these numbers go up as fast as possible. Yeah. And if one of those numbers happens to be military strength, and so, whilst I'm twiddling about and enjoying and exploring the game, the computer's just pound. Yeah, it's just ruthlessly putting together an empire without making a single misstep, not wasting a single resource or having to unconstruct things or anything like that. And then by the time you bump into them for real, for a proper scrap, you've been overrun already. You've already lost. I don't like the idea that the sort of empire management large scale builder game, and terrestrial versions as well, your civilizations and ground games and whatever, anything where the computer is just hell bent to optimize numbers, it's going to outperform you unless it's been given some artificial stupidity to just give the player a bit of a break. So yeah, I don't know, but obviously I'm new at it. Perhaps I have to just learn how to play much better, get good and so on. But even so I'm still enjoying it, even if it is a bit frustrating trying to work out how to break out, pull away, because usually in these games you build, and then you get your first war, and assuming you survive that and win, you've then got 2 empires. Yes, and then it gets a lot easier because on a level playing field, all the other empires, unless they've been killing each other and doubling up as well, you start to pull ahead once you've conquered your first serious rival. But I haven't really managed to break that yet. I haven't worked out how to pull ahead and make the big advantage. And usually I do it through tech, but the tech's different in here and not quite as easy to just pull away and turn into its main game. But yeah, anyway, Stellaris, very, very, very good game, very slick, very polished. I can see why it's so popular. And I probably will end up suckering for a load of these DLCs as well. We'll see. I have to get familiar with the basic game first, though. So yeah, that's what I've been basically doing most of the week. Just one more turn. Oh God, is that the time? Yeah, only there isn't a next turn button. You just sit there and it will keep going forever. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Sounds like a prison.
Yeah. Over to you.
I have been playing a short game.
Oh yeah.
Basically a game short story, in fact. By Mike Biffle.
Okay.
Which is Subsurface Circular.
Subsurface Circular.
Which is basically the story of a robot detective effectively sitting on the central line, going around and chatting to people who sit down next to him.
Oh, on an underground train?
On an underground train, yeah.
Right. And you use
it's a circular line. All the stations are named after computery things.
Yeah.
And you basically get to talk to the robots that sit down near you.
Wow.
And from that, a story ensues.
Yeah.
And because you're a detective, you start investigating something.
Can you imagine trying that in real life on the Circle Line?
You get murdered.
You get murdered. Uh-huh.
So, it's limited to one location.
Yep.
All that happens is robots walk in and sit down. It's all 3D and looks really lovely. But single viewpoint, robots
they're all getting on the train and getting off. All right.
Yeah. And then you click on the icon above them and a little chat window comes up and you have a chat and there's options in the chat for talking. So all the controls are basically through just a chat interface.
Okay.
And as you go on, you got the normal... You get to your point of conversation and there'll be a couple of normal options. But down the bottom, in red, are these override keywords, which are plot points you can investigate.
Okay.
And so you always know... It's one of those games where if you were to just spam all of the keywords, you'll get through it no matter what.
Okay.
Because you know everything you need to ask about and it's just a chat. So you can't really miss anything as long as you hit everything.
Yeah.
And so this adventure progresses. You learn many things, and he's very clear he doesn't want people talking about what these things are.
Right, yeah.
I'm not entirely sure the story is good enough to warrant the please don't spoil it that much.
I say it has to be quite I don't know, just the idea of trying to tell a beginning, middle, end narrative gripping thriller through the medium of random people who get on and off your subway train. It's a bit of a stretch.
You know, it works.
Okay.
Yeah, because you end up talking to people and then the next people you talk to may know a bit about the thing or let you know about something else.
Yeah.
And then you start to wish, I wish I could have asked the person behind something, but you can't anymore.
Oh, they've gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually quite interesting. And
interesting sort of puzzle game.
It really does work. It's only an hour or two long.
Yeah.
Which is good. It is literally a short story in a game, which is nice. And everything about it is basically designed to cut the costs of production down. One location, the robots are all lovely. It's all animated really well and everything and looks nice, but there's only so many robots. There's no voice work. It's all read text in a window, and it does work.
A simple idea executed well, then.
It works really well as an adventure, and one that it does demonstrate that you don't have to spend all the money on the planet to make an interesting game.
200 million or whatever, and a staff of like 200 working for 3 years. Yeah.
Oh, only 200.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks really good and does play really well. There's not really any replay value apart from at the end when you've completed it, you unlock the developer commentary mode, which has you're sitting in one place and then next to you and across are the places where other people can stand, and there's subway, so it's a pole, and in the developers commentary version there's Bifflebot holding onto the pole you can talk to and ask stuff. It's just quite nice. So the developers commentary
is the one set story.
One set story.
It's not like a procedural thing every time.
One set story. It always ends in the same way.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil that.
No, but enjoy it for what it is.
And it is very enjoyable, and it is just I'm going to unravel this mystery as to what's going on, and I'm going to ask these people questions and learn something about this really interesting society of robots and why did the robots have a subway and what's going on there?
Sort of exploration of the lore as well as instead of a geographical location, because you're only on one subway car the whole time. And
you go from station to station, but all that happens is there's an announcement and people get on and off.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, you always seem to get to the next station just when you've finished the important conversation with someone. Odd that.
Yeah.
So you can't stuff it up. You'll just keep going.
That's interesting, because then you've got presumably this whole world behind the scenes, which is being relayed mostly through what you're asking these robots.
It does actually tie into all these other games as well.
Okay.
So there's points where continuity. Thomas Was Alone is mentioned, and Volume as well. Yeah, no, it's really good. I really enjoyed it, and it's worth checking out.
Okay, what's that? Steam? Good.
Yeah, it's on Steam. Just on Steam, I think.
Okay.
It's not on consoles as far as I'm aware, because it's just a cheap game.
Yeah.
And consoles add lots of effort. So probably will end up there eventually. So yeah, it's well worth a play.
Yeah, cool. Let's talk about Elite Dangerous. We are still going there.
Elite Dangerous. I've been playing that too.
Have you?
I played a bit.
Probably say hello. Come along or something. We We were out and about on
only
Tuesdays.
playing the Dead of the Night.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, so we've been doing various things, various weeks. We had the week where we went to look at the Guardian ruins. These are your Vorlons. These are your vanished precursor race who really don't get on with the Thargoids. We think, yeah. If you take a relic from the Guardian ruins, now I've seen where that comes from, and plug it into one of the Thargoid machinery, that's when it goes and it explodes. And yes, so we think Thargoids and Guardians don't get on.
Fair enough.
But there aren't actually, well, that we know of, any living guardians about the place. It's just ruins. So we went and just, went online and searched and Googled for where the ruins are, because we don't do primary research, really. No. We are very much tourists.
You better do secondary research.
So we went to this world, landed on there, got the buggies out.
Yeah.
I think, was this another? Yes. I've worked out every time we go somewhere in the buggies, I get there late because I like scanning all the stars and handing in the cartography data on the way. By the time I get there, one of my fine upstanding group of compatriots has shot at the local system defence force in their buggy laser and are now aggroed it all, and I'm the only one when I turn up who's in a spaceship that can fight it. So basically everywhere we go, they land, get out in the buggies, I arrive late and I have to shoot down some police and kill them. Then I can land my buggy and we can do whatever we think do. I'd like to finish my session without a bounty one time. That would be nice. But I am a terrible space pirate.
Yeah.
Well, murder hobo, really. I don't even do it for the cargo. I just kill police. Interesting.
I think it's worse than that, because they goad you into doing it, so you're just easily led.
I don't know. I wouldn't put that kind of malice at their door. No, not at all. But yeah, interestingly, for murdering a policeman in the course of his duty, I accrue about a 4,000 credit bounty.
Isn't it all clones and things?
I don't know. But for hovering longer than 30 seconds over somebody else's landing pad in a starbase, you're instantly executed and your ship is destroyed. Yeah. It's
priorities.
It's a strange universe, the 3300s. Anyway, so we landed, we drove around. These Guardian ruins are interesting. They've got a whole load of triangular pillars in set patterns and grids along the place, and when you go near some of them, they light up with like blue triangular dot patterns on them, which is interesting. And if you scan them using your buggy scanner, you get various different types of data. There's actually a mission for Ramtar, I think, one of the engineer people. It will give you a mission when you land at his base to go and get 12 different types of pillar data. Trouble is, to get those, you need to go to 3 different sites. The Guardian sites come in 3 different types, and we only visited one of them, got some stuff from there and got bored and wandered off. But those sites have various like casks and urns and things lying around the pillars in the sort of vacuum desert of the plains there. You can pick those up in the buggy, and then when you're carrying those and you go near some of these pillars, the pillars will light up and you can scan them for data. Then also there's like a big thing on a stick that comes up out of the sand, and like glowing beacon thing which you can shoot off the top and take away. And that's the thing that if you plug it into the Thargoid's base crash spaceship thing, it goes absolutely mental. So that was quite interesting, quite of eerie kind of xenoarchaeology. Xenoarchaeologists will be the death of us all, I've decided. It's going to million-year-old alien ruins and poking them with a stick.
I've always said that.
Yeah. So I was part of the problem, so that was nice. I think this last week we went to an abandoned base. This is some kind of ongoing discoveries and stuff. I can't remember what it's called now. It's a place called Dav's Hope or Hobbs Hope or something like that. I got some video, and it was really good. It's really intricate and detailed, laid out sort of one-horse town type, Wild West type thing with all the habitation pods all lined up along a main street with like radio towers and masts and things. Quite interesting, quite eerie as well. And there's like mining things happening nearby. And so, once I'd arrived and killed the inevitable aggroed policeman, I landed and we had a little wander around. You scan those different buildings and you end up with 6 logs that detail a kind of terrified evacuation type thing. And there's an evacuation warnings going on. So some terrible things happened there. But we didn't really discover what that was, and instead spent most of the evening trying to fly under their big archway gate thing with the sign. They got like a sort of motorway sign with the outpost name on top with the struts, and it's about 3 meters off the ground, a big metal arch. And if you're fast and in a small ship,
I was going to say, were any of you in a a Corvette or anything?
Well, yes. So yeah, we were trying it in various ships. I think the hauler managed to get under there at full speed. That was quite good. The Imperial Eagle that we tried it with, that's got the big sort of nacelles out on the end, and you can't seem to get under it without clipping one of the nacelles and spinning wildly and then blowing up.
Okay.
That blowing up meant that then there was a big spaceship wreck that landed on the ground near the thing, amongst all the other wrecks that we were accumulating down things. And then I realised because I was filming some of this in my buggy, watching people trying to swoop under it and getting blown up. Yeah. I realised that the wreck is persistent and shared persistence, so everyone could see it. And if you drive your buggy into it, you can bump it along. Oh, so SRV football was born. So there was a couple of us trying to shove Commander Embryo's Eagle wreck underneath the archway, whilst Commander Embryo was coming in under a hauler trying to go through it as well. It was just mayhem.
It's nice that any game will end up as football.
It was emergent gaming night. We did all sorts of crazy stuff. Then
Destiny 2 was football as well.
I think he went away to go and get his Anaconda, the biggest ship in the game, because we think it turns out the Anaconda doesn't fit. No, but what it does do is wedge the first sort of 20 metres under the arch, and then his back end got caught on a radio mast behind, and he managed to wedge his Anaconda on their main street. Jets blasting away as he's trying to bounce it round and stuff, and we're all trying to nudge it with other ships, but nudge it with asps and stuff. But of course, the Anaconda shields are far more powerful than the asps shields, so the asps were just getting blown up trying to nudge it out of the gap. Oh god! Meanwhile, so while that was all going on, we then decided to see how far we could lift an SRV into space by landing it onto. Basically, use the little jets to the SRV to fly up and down. Low gravity planet, and you got your jets, so you can jump over gaps. If you jump on top of it, say for example my Diamondback Explorer, and then I slowly ascend, we got to about 200. I think we got about 800 metres. I think is our current record. Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, the problem is that you can't. So if you've got the SRV on top of a ship, if the ship goes up, the SRV just goes through it and takes a lot of damage, blows up, whatever, falls off. But if the SRV jumps and then the ship moves up a bit, so you can sort of keep doing that. And so that's what we were basically doing. A very careful rise with and if you jump, of course, if you've got a large flat ship like the Asps, very good for that, But yeah, so basically you jump and then the ship moves up underneath you. So when you come down, as long as the ship is stationary when it hits, you can keep going up like that. And we think if we can do that for about another 4 or 5 hours, we probably could have got the SRV into orbit.
Or to whatever invisible ceiling exists.
I don't know. Well, it's all sort of seamless physics engine stuff. I don't think the SRV's in a different state or session because you wouldn't be able to interact with the ships.
You need to do this. You need to have video of it just in orbit and then submit it as a bug report.
I don't know if it actually works. I mean, Zaranil was telling us about all sorts of other people in the community who've been trying this kind of thing. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I did hear about one story about someone who managed to get a buggy from one planet to another because they had just a quirk of the engine had made these planets very close to each other. But I don't know how you managed to do it. The jets only last you like 3 or 4 second bursts, so normally you can get like 20 metres up and then come down again. But yeah. So meanwhile, I think there was probably something terrifying about the abduction of colonists from this base that we were meant to be investigating, but we kind of got sidetracked a bit. Interestingly, though, our Googlings around produced a Google Docs spreadsheet prepared by the community and updated, which contains just a massive list of interesting one-off structures.
Ooh.
Yes.
I like it.
So the problem with Elite Dangerous is it is a massive, massive universe. It's essentially a one-to-one scale model of the Milky Way, and it essentially could not be populated by a handful of interesting stuff, which is perhaps one of many people have that as a primary complaint about Elite Dangerous. It's boring, it's all the same, there's nothing to do, it's all empty. Well, yeah, but it's the size of the Milky Way. It's literally tens of thousands of light years across in virtual form. But so that means that, and it contains that many stars. I mean, I haven't placed all the stars yet, but presumably when people first go to it, I don't know, the star map has them all on.
I think they're all automatically placed.
But they're procedurally generated by an algorithm.
There was a system.
Obviously, people haven't gone in and put them in one at a time, typed in their characteristics. It's all generated.
I started watching a video of how they did it, but the video crapped out.
Yeah, I think they had some dev stream or something talking about the science and tech behind generating their world map. Fascinating stuff, apparently. But obviously that means it's not going to be full of interesting quest hubs like Mass Effect or something.
No.
In even Mass Effect 1 and most of the Mass Effect games, there's a lot of very generic planets you can go to where nothing much happens. Mass Effect 1, I think there's only 4 planets that contain thrilling story-based stuff, and the rest of it is just procedural as well. So finding interesting things are actually few and far between. between. So when someone comes across one, they add it on this spreadsheet and we go and have a look. So we got quite a lot of leads on the large space asteroid bases and the close quarters combat stuff. This sort of arena little mini ship fighter thing. They do that in special arena sort of instance, but the actual the space stations and structures they do exist out in the real game as well. So we can go out and find them and try and wedge an Anaconda into a tunnel that's only about that big. So that'll be good. And it's just interesting things to go and see and play around with. I mean, there's tourism within the game in context as well. There's like beacons where the first warp drive was invented, etc. This, the solar system, Earth system, is full of them. There's all sorts of beacons out there, and there's actual passenger missions where you get paid to take tourists to these places in your big tourist kitted ship and so on. But and they're interesting enough. But just interesting freeform places to go and have a look at. I mean, they're adding them more and more as it goes on. As the game matures and continues to run, they'll add more and more interesting and unique things. But obviously, to begin with, you have to lay the groundwork with a massive procedural generated universe full of not much interesting uniqueness. So yeah, we're going to probably use that spreadsheet as the basis for our adventures going forward for the next couple of weeks, certainly, just to go and have a look at some interesting things. And of course, you've always got the various community goals ticking along as well. We chip into some of those, mostly just to keep ourselves in rebuys for exploded eagles and so on. But good times. I'm enjoying it a lot, but probably not in the way they expected us to. We'll make our own entertainment. I think that's fine too. So yeah, still playing that. It's good.
Cool.
Enjoying it.
I shall talk then about a game called Yorkshire Gubbins.
Yorkshire Gubbins? That's the actual name, is it?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It is a point-and-click adventure game which looks awfully like Scum, but very, very pixel-arty.
Okay. So LucasArts old 90s style.
But very, very, very low-res pixel art.
Okay.
Which has a really quite nice effect. There's a little glow on the pixels, which looks quite cool.
Yep.
It's basically, again, a series of short stories. Can you spot the pattern here?
Yeah.
Of adventures, of which the first one is out.
Okay.
You buy it and you get them all, but they're going to be released every month or so.
Okay, so you're buying a sort of season pass thing.
Of hour-long adventures in this Yorkshire town, which has robots in it and slugs clothing people and things like that.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And it is a humorous game, if you hadn't guessed.
Well, yeah.
With lots of Yorkshire accents.
Uh-huh.
And in the first one, you have to find your special meat, which is in a package, wrapped up package of special meat.
League of Gentlemen reference.
Yeah, it's definitely a League of Gentlemen reference.
Right.
Which has gone missing, so you can make your pie and win the pie competition.
Right.
And then it goes on from there.
Okay.
The humour is quite good. It has made me most amused on a couple of times, even in the first episode. Oh, and there's a tutorial as well, which has been made available for free on the web, which basically talks you through talk you through how these verb systems work. Because kids today or something.
Kids today have never played The Secret of Monkey Island. No.
Something avocados.
Yeah.
I like it. There's very few avocados in the shops at the moment, I've noticed. It's really annoying. Yeah. Anyway, must be the millennials.
I don't get that avocado thing.
Avocado toast, it's lovely. Anyway, stop distracting me with avocados.
All right.
So it's literally Scum. You have your 9 verbs.
Little grid.
Head count. And on the right you have your items.
Can you name them all?
In this case, smell isn't there. No, it's give, talk,
look,
use. Yeah, all those. Open, close.
I can't remember them all.
No, anyway, all of the ones you'd expect are there.
Yep.
And you get given items. You're basically going through looting the entire world. And then trying to use items on items to get your way through things.
You tend to get told off if you try that in real life.
You do. But there don't seem to be any particularly bizarrely hard puzzles in this one.
Okay. It's all
the hardest one is...
That's what we've lost, the proper moon logic.
Yeah. There's no real moon logic. The hardest one is... doesn't make any sense until something happens.
Okay.
And then, how do I get out of this? Oh, hang on. Yeah.
That moment can be satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the puzzles are good. The humour's good. It's fully voice acted, this one.
Oh, right.
Which is good.
Yorkshire accent must be quite difficult to convey in text-only form.
Yeah, you'd think so. And all the text is in a proper Queen's English, and then the voice acting is in Yorkshire.
Something troubling. Oh no, close it, quickly.
And yeah, there's Yorkshire references, which I assume confuse people as well. So some of the voice acting is outstandingly good, but some of it feels like maybe it was done by people in front of their computer. Maybe. Yeah.
Dev staff, yeah, not classically trained
I
actors.
don't know. The best thing to compare this against would be Thingy's
Thimbleweed
Park. That's the one. Yeah, that's the closest thing to compare it with, and it's definitely not as good as Thimbleweed Park
Okay.
at the moment because they've only got one bit of it. It doesn't feel quite as polished. If you're playing on a really large monitor, the fact that the pixels are so large in the pixel art is a little bit annoying, to be
Can't hit
honest.
you over the pixel size.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've got a massive monitor, which is
Yeah.
quite high resolution because I like to edit videos and do
big.
coding and things.
Pixels.
Yeah, so the pixels are literally that big. And it's
Postcards.
a little bit distracting. It starts off in a window, and I think playing it in a window might actually be better, but I like playing games in windows.
Yeah.
But the game, assuming they keep the quality up for the next sets of adventures when they come out, there's going to be 6 or so in total, I think. I think it'll be well worth taking a look at. I'm not sure it's particularly a good idea to take a look at it now with only one adventure out.
Yeah.
And I have that constant fear in the back of my head of I'm going to forget this game ever existed
Is this a
next week.
Is this a wait for a Game of the Year full season edition type thing?
It
do
might
you
be,
think?
but then again, do you, by doing that, cut the funding for funding the other bits
Well,
of
yes,
this game?
yes, you do. But is that your problem?
Yeah.
Is that our problem as
That-
consumers?
That's a good question.
They
isn't it?
decided to release it in weird piecemeal form. It
Yeah.
smacks of early access to me, to be honest. But I don't know.
Yeah. But as long as these do come out semi-reliably and not, I should say, on the Telltale games.
Gosh, yes, I need to actually play that. I got Tales of the Borderlands free with
So
something
I
else.
got that through as something else a while ago as well.
And I haven't started it yet. I've installed it. I've never played a Telltale Games game
Haven't
before.
you?
No, not at all.
Wow.
None of them. So I know.
It'd be interesting what you
I'm
think
beginning
about
to get. I get the impression that they're not really the same sort of thing as the Monkey Island types thing at all. So it'd be interesting to
Did you
see.
play the Telltale Monkey Island game?
Really?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah. So
You should play the Minecraft
I
one.
shall play the Tales of the Borderlands because that's the one I've got, and I shall try and use that as the basis for just because they are pretty much a genre all of their own, aren't they?
They're all pretty much the same, apart from
Same kind of thing.
some offer a bit more control than others, and they have changed over the time.
Well, I'll have a go and I'll report back to you all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But Yorkshire Gubbins.
Yorkshire Gubbins, very good. It's only a couple of quid. It's worth it, I think, but you might want to wait for a couple more months so that there's more than just an hour's worth of gameplay in there.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. I'm going to talk about Warframe briefly.
Okay.
So they've done a big announcement. So I think it's something to do with their console release because it's available for the PS3 as well,
Yeah.
possibly other console. I don't know, but
I believe it may be on Xbox.
maybe. But
I'm sure it's PS3, not PS4.
oh, 4, 3.
Probably 4.
Is it 4?
We're up to 4 now.
I'm bluffing about consoles.
And Xboxes
Check
are
me
down
out.
to 1.
Wow. So the
Oh, no. It was 1, but now it's the 10. 'cause
So
it's
Sony's
X.
stealing them from Microsoft.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Literally, that is how it has
Yeah,
worked.
yeah.
Sony has stolen from Microsoft. That is literally how the player base has
Because
worked.
it's gone down and the other one's gone up at the same time, which is not a coincidence. Yes. Anyway, so they've released Plains of Eidolon, which is the big open world run around sort of hills and valleys thing I was talking about the other time. That's available for the console now. Presumably they beta testing it on the PC audience like they usually do for this kind of thing. And to celebrate that, they have got a promo code that you can type in. If you I probably should put a link. I put a link in the Slack channel. You can find it there. But big promotion for our little community there. But yeah, so you basically type in this code in the redeem code bit in the in-game shop, and you get a free gun. And with it comes a free weapon slot for the gun, so it doesn't take up any of your existing weapon slots, the ones you need to buy for platinum normally. And that gun also has the Orokin catalyst on it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what that means, don't you?
No. Prices?
No, prizes. Yes. Right. So basically, your weapon has a capacity of 30 mod slots usually.
Okay.
Once you've fully leveled it up, if you add an Orokin catalyst to it, that goes up to 60, and that's already got one already applied on it. So basically, it's a double-powered gun that comes with its own weapon slot.
Oh, nice.
And it's called the Vectis, and it is a real beast of a sniper rifle. It's one shot, but the reload is so fast that you don't really notice between shots, and you can reload while zoomed still. And it really, just straight out of the box without even modding it.
Are you
it
using it on
one-shot
everything
I'm using it on everything. It's my best gun ever now. Well, I had the Volcar previously, which is given out as a mission. The blueprint for it's given out as a mission reward for defeating the end boss of like Venus or Mercury or something. You get it relatively early on, but that's a 5-shot sniper rifle, and it takes a bit of work, a bit of getting used to. But this thing's fantastic. It's an almighty bang when it goes off as well, completely with like echo, which I've still managed to put the silencer on, and it still makes that noise, but no one can hear it. It's fantastic. So if you're even remotely interested or dabbling with Warframe at the moment, go and have a look for that code. You can probably find it on their forums, quite heavily signposted.
Google is your friend.
It's valid until mid-February, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, so you got a while. So, but yeah, just a free weapon slot is nothing else, even if you just then go and delete the gun. But it is a really useful, really handy sniper rifle if you're into that kind of gameplay.
There's effectively a monetary value against it, because...
Yeah,
it's a free weapon slot.
Yeah,
so
weapon slots. I think
that.
you get 4 weapon slots for 12 platinum, and I think you buy like 50 platinum for about £5. So it's a small amount of, that is exactly a kind of monetary value. It's in addition to the weapons you also want. So yeah, good. It's just a thank you and a well done to the community and stuff. They seem like quite a decent community. People, you get the impression like pretty much any EA game, but you get the impression that a lot of MMO companies tolerate their customers rather than celebrate them. But
yes, I have got that impression over the years.
I don't tend to see nearly as much rage or ire from the Warframe community. They seem to be on board with their developer and vice versa. So that's good. I've started a clan.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the only one in it now at the moment. It's brilliant.
Have you told the others that you started it?
I've mentioned it. Well, there seemed to be a couple of people on our Slack channel saying that they'd picked it up and were having a look at it and seemed to be quite impressed with it so far. So I thought, let's probably have to set up some sort of guild type thing then. So I've set up a clan. It's called How to Murder Time because 5 Rounds Rapid had gone.
Really?
I know. I might join them. I don't know who that is. But, yes.
Is that anyone we know?
I don't know. It's a free-to-play game, so pretty much all the names have already gone.
Although, thank you for actually using our branding on something for once.
Hey, I'm a team player. Yes, we got a dojo. It's 1 room. There's nothing in it. It's brilliant. But that opens up a whole crafting thing for additional rooms to the dojo and additional furniture and stuff in there, and a trading post, which I think I can build, and that will then allow you to hopefully it's some kind of shared bank space to let the mods be swapped around, because basically the mods are essentially a kind of lucky dip, a bit like Magic the Gathering cards with your common and your uncommons and stuff. So if you end up with duplicate rares, it's quite handy to be able to pass those around. So yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. There's no static group night as of yet, but it seems people are quite interested in the game in general, so we'll see what we can do. Maybe there'll be a night of the week to go with it all. But just a bit of a shout out there. Over to you. What have you done?
Oh, have I got anything? I've got to moan. I've got to moan at you, don't I?
You got to moan at me?
Yeah.
Oh no, what have I done now?
Inspired me to walk home.
Yes, I saw you tweeting about that.
Yeah.
So you're a hiker now.
I'm a hiker now.
Yeah,
I forgot I enjoyed hiking.
Yeah, you should have come with me yesterday.
No.
I
was on the video.
He dumped me in the middle of nowhere and then drove away to find a...
Did you see my geo? You saw my geoguessr idea.
Yes.
I blindfold him, drive him to the middle of nowhere, let him loose, and he has to find his way home.
Yeah.
It can't be that hard in this country.
I could give it a go, I suppose.
Middle of Wales might be a bit tricky.
Well, yeah, geoguessr, but on foot in real life. So I'd have to walk until I find a road, then walk until I find a sign.
Or find a person. Excuse me, what county am I in?
Where am I? I've come hiking by mistake. Well, it looks good on paper, but there's a number of logistical issues, I think, probably. Like, why am I 3 days late for work? That kind of thing.
Or also, I know I'm quite far away because we've just driven for 14 hours.
Yeah.
With a blindfold on, bundled in the boot.
Not going to attract any suspicion at all, is it? It's all right. It's
Every
something
bump.
we do.
Ow.
Yeah. No. Okay. So, no, I'm going to carry on with the South Downs way. I did a bit more of that yesterday. It was good. Only a little bit yesterday. I totally misworked out how far and how long it would take and everything, and I was done by 1:30.
I thought it was quite short when you told me.
Yeah, but then the next stage would have been too long, and I'd been out in the dark, in the freezing cold and stuff. So yeah, swings around.
Is being out in the light in the freezing fog better than being out in the dark in the freezing fog?
It's great to be alive.
Yeah,
and you don't really appreciate that until you're nearly dead from exposure. Yeah. I find. So yeah, do your spill.
You can go to howtobeartime.com where you can find all our previous episodes as we count down to the 200th episode of
God,
this.
I've got to write a script.
What are we going to do for 200?
I don't know.
Pretend it doesn't happen. Quit at 199? Don't know.
Implement a point build system. So next, 199, 199.1, etc.
Same coin did that already.
Oh, right.
They obviously, yeah. Anyway, you can also go to YouTube where you can catch all of our video episodes of this and his walking videos and whatever I decide to come up with to fill in the off weeks coming up. And if you join us in 2 weeks' time, we'll be back with more of the same.
See you later.
Goodbye.